I'm going to take you on a little journey this morning. My talk is entitled Strangers in the Night. Could be Strangers in the Light as well, but Strangers in the Night. It's an old song by Frank Sinatra. Strangers in the night. That song. Beautiful song about two people who met, who didn't know one another before. And they were evidently at a dance or some kind of thing like that, but some kind of a get-together. I started thinking about that song, and I thought about it in spiritual terms of our journey as spiritual beings. You know, we start out, all of us, as strangers in the night. We do. We start as spiritual beings in a place where nothing's going on. It's just oneness. We're just all connected. Then we, as we like to say, we make a soul agreement to enter this plane. Now, that's an odd way of putting it if you really think about it, because it's not like we decide and say, as an entity, I think I'll go to the physical plane. That's not what's occurring at all. What's occurring is that Spirit itself urges us into being. Just urges us into being through love. It just says, I'm creating you. I am creating a thing called you. And I'm going to express it into this physical world to do that which is necessary to touch all the other individualized beings, individualized expressions. You, this unique you, is going to touch, move, and have an effect on everyone else. And they in turn will have an effect on you. So that's the first thing we do in existence. Then we're born. Then we're a little child, a baby. We start off not knowing anything. We are simply being. There we are. We are absorbing everything from the very moment that we suddenly realize that we are no longer asleep. We're no longer in this sleeping state. We are in an active state. And it occurs to us, the first thing we want to do is speak about it. So we do. Wow! We speak. We start having an identification with the outer. That's the first thing that we do. That is our being from that point. Then something occurs to us that we have to do in order to function in this world. We have to learn. We have to learn where things are, how our little body works, how language works. We have to learn to read. We have to learn how to ride a bicycle. We do all of these things as we grow up through our childhood. And we need to learn how to connect with other people. First our family, first our mother, then our father, then everyone outside of that group, other siblings we might have, it might be, or it could be people that are connected to us in some way. Aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, cousins. Just goes on and on. And then that family, from the extended family, goes on out into the world, and we learn how to connect with all these people. That's the next part of doing that we must have happen to us for us to be a functional human being on this planet. Then the next part that happens to us in life is there is this being an individual. Someplace along the line, we develop an ego which says to us, I am separate. I am in need of protection. I am in need of many things, and all my wants I will learn how to get. We learn how to get them through two types of behavior. Manipulation. We all learn how to do that a little bit. And coping. We learn how to cope with life. We learn how to take it as it comes. We learn how to express it and use that which is ours to do and that which is ours to accomplish in life. After our educational period comes through, then we go through another state, a state of young adulthood. And now we have to decide who we're going to be when we grow up. So we go through another being state in which we become aware of how we relate to other people, what love is as opposed to want and get. We learn this. It's a learned process. Part of it is just innate within us, yes. But usually most of this is a love of self, and we learn to love and express to others. We learn to extend beyond. After we've gone through this state, then we do this very thing. We develop our families' relationships. We fall in love with someone. We have children. Many things happen in our lives. We take on a career, and we do all of this. It's necessary for us to do this to be a healthy, actuated individual on the planet Earth. Now comes another time of being. A being time where we decide for ourselves who we really are. A time when we stop looking at the outer and saying, I am what I do, and we realize who we are. You know, that's a difficult time for a lot of people. A lot of people, the first question they are asked is, hi, I'm so-and-so, you're so-and-so. What do you do? What do you do? As though that's who you are. Well, I'm an accountant. Well, I work in a bank. Well, I own my own business. Whatever it might be. But that's not really who we are. That's simply what we do. We discover who we are. And that's one of the reasons why we're all here today. That's one of the reasons we're here. We're here because we are like-minded people discovering and practicing the presence of who we are, who we really are. Spiritualized beings having an earthly experiences, we say many, many times. That's who we are. But to reconnect to that sometimes is really difficult to some people. It's very difficult. Fortunately, we have ways that we can learn to make these connections. Ways that still our minds away from this busyness of the world that we live in order for us to take a moment and simply be. Now that's all great. That's all great. We get to a point where we are learning so much about ourselves and how we relate to the world and the powers within us that we have to be able to call forth our own happiness. But that's not enough. You know, one of the people, he's not here today, Bob Tite and I were talking about this. He said that he has this conversation that he does on Skype on Tuesday nights. And he has this feeling that once you learn all these things, there should be another step. And other people in his group are saying, oh no, Bob, just concentrate and focus on yourself. Just work on yourself. And I have seen coffee cups in Unity churches that say, if it is to be, it's up to me, and this is all this self-actualization. That's so important. That's so important. But there's one more doing that we must have to feel fulfilled in this life. And that is reaching out to our world. Reaching out to our world. And a perfect example that I can think of this, to see this all the time, of someone who selflessly understands himself and reaches out to his world is Jimmy Carter. Am I not right? Jimmy Carter is a perfect example of someone who says, Yeah, I've had all these things happen to me in life, and I've done these things and so forth, but that's not the important thing. The important thing right now is picking up a hammer and going out here and helping to build a house for somebody. Yes, I've got these ailments that are occurring to me in my physical body, but yet I know enough about who I am as a spiritual being to know that I have to do this in order to be fulfilled. There's one thing about self-actualization. It's great to learn who you are, but if you're not going to do anything with it, then what good is it? It's necessary for us to learn to reach out beyond ourselves in order to totally fulfill the reason that we came into this world as a stranger in the night to begin with. Strangers in the night. That's where we start. So many times in our lives, all these different stages in our lives. We do something, and then we be something, and then we have to meet new strangers, and it seems like we're in the night with them because it's not understood. And then we make friends, and we make family, and then the next piece comes into our lives. We learn more and more, and all the learning that we have seems to come from darkness, from nowhere. It comes from inside a book that when it's closed, it's dark in there. It takes us to open the book and to learn and to read. It takes us to do this with situations in our lives. So life basically is this: do, be, do. Be, do. Do, be, do, be, do. Strangers in the night. It all works out so right for strangers in the night. God bless you.